history. We're going to knock you up with some feds and anti-feds in this quick lecture, guys. We've touched upon it in other lectures, but I think it deserves special focus because it's way importante. So giddy up for the learning, guys. Why don't we go get her done right now? Feds and anti-feds. So, the summer of 1787 is going to bring us to these two groups, the Feds and the Anti-Feds, during the Constitutional Convention, really during the ratification process. You have to remember that the delegates of the convention in 1787 in Philadelphia that wrote that Constitution did it by bypassing the old Constitution. They violated the Articles of Confederation, where you needed 13 out of 13 states agreeing in order to amend itself. So they're not amending the Articles of Confederation, they're throwing that stuff in the garbage and they're starting all over, which is revolutionary and illegal. But either way you cut it, they write that Constitution, and certainly you can go watch other videos that talk about what they put in that Constitution, but the main concept is they're strengthening the role of the federal government. In a sense, they're really creating centralized authority with taxing power, and that's a pretty big deal. So when they go to ratify that sucker, we have basically two groups that kind of break out. We have the Federalists, which becomes the Federalist Party. Really, the only Federalist president was John Adams. James Madison was a Federalist originally. I think George Washington would probably classify him as a Federalist. But you also have big names like Alexander Hamilton. You have John Jay. You have some big, heavy hitters that are going to argue in those Federalist papers, those 85 essays, that this is the right balance in federalism, and this is what we need. We need a large republic with a stronger central government to be the glue to keep us all together. And you know, even in the ratification process, it shows you a lot in terms of them really seeing us a country of people. They don't go to the state legislatures for this Constitutional Convention ratification process. They go to people conventions in the states. And all states had elections where they elected delegates to this new convention, and each state voted. And eventually, 9 out of 13 states were needed to ratify that. And they kind of just made that number up. But Federalists are going to be the ones who wrote the Constitution and who believe in this stronger role of the federal government, a larger republic. You know, if anything, they would say the states have a role, the states have the Senate. The Senate was elected by state legislatures. They represent the states. The House represents the people. This is the perfect balance. But when we go to that ratification process, we also have a large number of people that are turning against this new Constitution, and they are labeled Anti-Federalists. Originally, they wanted to be called the Federalists because they thought they had the right balance, but they got nicknamed the Anti-Feds, so there you go. We have Anti-Feds like Samuel Adams, Patrick Henry, William Randolph, George Clinton, George Mason, and even Thomas Jefferson, even though they shipped him off to Paris. The Anti-Feds' main argument is, number one, this is an illegal move. Number two, where are our liberties? We don't trust this new big federal government. They're going to take our rights away. And they're not going to be looking out for the interest of the smaller states, of the rural areas. And that's really what's represented by the Anti-Feds, rural America, the South, farmers, debtors, as opposed to the Federalists, who are really represented by manufacturers and artisans and big city interests. So that's the main two groups, guys. The Federalists, which support the new federal constitution, and you have the Anti-Feds, who are really in love with the Articles of Confederation, and if anything, would be okay with maybe amending that document, but certainly not throwing it out, baby, with the bathwater. So what's going to happen? Well, eventually it's going to get ratified with 9 out of 13 states, and a Bill of Rights is going to be added to the Constitution in order to garner the rest of the support, all 13 states eventually, and that's going to protect those civil liberties from the federal government, as well as maintaining in the 9th and 10th Amendments some state power, so some of those fears of the Anti-Feds could be calmed down a little bit. So what happens after that? The Federalist Party runs its course. We have John Adams, and after that it kind of dies away. It becomes the Whigs, and eventually it's kind of reborn as a Northern nationalistic Republican Party. What happens to the Anti-Feds? They label themselves the Anti-Administrational Party and later become Jeffersonian Republicans or the Democratic Republicans, and that's the forerunner of the Democratic Party of the South, Andrew Jackson. So there you go, guys. We hope you know a little bit more about the Feds and the Anti-Feds, and giddy up for that. So we'll see you guys next time that you press my buttons, and always remember, where attention goes, energy flows.